Good morning, everyone. So, in the last session, we discussed about the important section called linked list basic example. Now, here we discuss about the add method, and the second method we identified the add method, which is expecting the particular index location. So, whenever we are providing this particular index location, so how it is working internally. Now, based on this particular index, so first it will try to find out the what exactly the current value we are having under this particular index location. Now it is going to replace with this particular new value here. Okay. So this is the add with the second parameter here. Now if you observe, now I'm trying to debug the same method here. Now whenever we are providing the index, now first we are going to check for this particular index here. Now whether this particular value, whatever we provided, so whether it is within this particular condition or not, now we are checking it. So now if you see, the index is greater than or equal to 0, and whatever the index we provided, and it is equals to this particular size here. Now whenever it is matching here, now we are not going to get any exception. Now this is we identified. Now whenever we are identifying here, if you see, index equals to size, index equals to size. Now what happening internally, whenever the size and index both are same, now here we are trying to initialize, like we are trying to create a new node with help of this particular last index here. Now you can see here we are calling the method called linked list, and we are providing the value here. Now whenever I'm trying to debug, now what is the last element as of now? 30 related section. Now here you can see the item is 30, so this is will treat as a last index, like last node here. Okay. Now after this, we are trying to create a new node, and with the help of this particular previous node, now here new node we are providing. Okay, for 2. Okay, so here we created the 40 and the previous node. So what is the previous node? Whatever the last, the earlier last we are having, something like a 30 related value we are initializing here. Now you can see we are inserting, so we are trying to providing. Now this is will treat as a last node here. Okay, this is we observe. Now you can see 10, 20, 30, 40. We are able to print this particular value. Now, if I'm trying to initialize one more index with help of this particular 2. Okay, so now we observe the index is 3. Now I'm trying to providing one more with help of this particular index is 2. Now let's observe the same example with help of this particular second index location, how these particular values are going to be inserted here. Okay, so this is the method I'm calling. Now here you can see again we are checking this particular position. Now let me go to the position. Now here index we are having 2, so that is a greater than or equal to 0, and whatever the index we are having 2, and this is basically less than the size. So current size is 4. Okay, current size is 4. What I provided the value called 2 here. Now it is not satisfying there, we are not going to get any exception. We are coming out of this particular check position. Now if you see index and size, index we provided 2, but size we are having currently 4. Now this method is not going to call here. So whenever this method will call, what happening here? First it will try to find out the last index location. Like first it will try to find out the last node. Once it is identified this particular last node, now what we will do basically, we'll try to identify the, okay, we'll try to create a new node with help of this particular last node. So this is what we discuss as of now here. But currently this method is not calling here. Now we need to discuss about the link before here. So whenever we are calling this particular link before, now what we are doing here, if you observe, we are calling one node method. Okay, here we are calling node method. So what exactly this node method is doing now? This node method, now it will try to, based on this particular index location, it is going to load the proper node information. Now if you see, now if you observe what I am doing here, I am calling this particular node method, and internally, what is the value I'm providing here? Index value I'm providing. So what is the index value we are having? 2. Now whenever we are providing this particular index value, now here what we are checking here, if this particular index less than or equal to this particular size. So this is not satisfied. Now we are going for this particular else section. Now what is the current node here? What is the Last node. Last node, just now we discussed the 40 related information, whatever we are having. So that will treat as a 40 index location. Okay. That will treat as a 40 index location. Now, if you see the 40 related X here. So this is the last node. Now, after this, if we observe carefully, here we are having previous node. Okay. So whenever we are having previous node, now what I am doing here, if you observe carefully, into I is equals to size minus 1. Currently, what is the size we are having? 4. So 4 minus 1, something like 3. Okay, I value 3. And here, so I value greater than with this particular index here. So what is the index we are having? 2. So I greater than index here. Okay, I minus minus. How many times this particular loop is going to repeat here? Only one time. Only one time it is going to repeat here. So why it is going to repeat only one time? Because here size minus 1 we are checking. The initial value is 3. So once the 3 we are having, now condition will satisfy because the index value we provided as a 2 here. Okay. So 3 greater than 2. So this will satisfy. But whenever we try to identify 2 greater than 2, so this will not satisfy. Okay. So this will not satisfy. Now what happens internally whenever we are having here, whenever we are having this type of information, now condition will become false here. Now carefully observe. First time we'll repeat here. Now what is the previous value? So x dot previous. What is the x here? X just now we loaded something like last related. Now x dot previous. Now what is the value we'll get it basically? The 30 related node here. Okay. So now if you see, so second iteration we are coming out because of this particular index here, condition will not satisfy. Now what we are observing carefully here, we are trying to load this particular 30 related node here. Whatever the 30 value we provided, the particular node we are trying to return. Now if you see here, item value is 30. So we are having next and previous. We are having next and previous here. Okay. So after this, now what we are doing here. So this is the node method we call as of now. Now we are going to call this particular link before. Now we are going to call this particular link before. Now what exactly this particular link before is going to do here. Now here you can see, now this is the node we are passing. The node currently we are having. So this is a, okay, yeah. So this is the node we are passing. Now what exactly this node is returning? Something like a 30 related node. Okay, this is the current node we created. Now after this, success dot previous. Success dot previous. Now whenever we are calling success dot previous, which node we are going to get? 20 related. Now if you see this, this is the 30. If I'm going to call this previous, now 20 related node we are getting. Okay. Now this is the previous node. So something like 20 related. Now you can see 20. Okay. Now here I'm trying to create a new node. So carefully observe. Here I'm trying to create a new node, and here I'm providing the previous one, and here I'm trying to create a success. Like this is the one. So carefully observe. Currently here we are having 30. Okay. For 30 we are having previous node. Okay. And next also. Now here I'm trying to provide obj is nothing but object references. Okay. Object references. 30 we are having, and already we are having 20 also. Okay. Now carefully observe 20. Now here also we are having object reference, and this is also we are having object reference. Now for this particular 20, the next object is this particular 30. Okay. Next object is this, but here the previous object is this. So currently this is the relation we are having. So 30 previous node is 20. Now 20 next node is 30. 20 next node is 30. But if we observe one more node I'm trying to create. So the line number 162, what we are doing here? Here we are trying to creating a new node. This is important. Now what is the value I'm trying to providing? Here I'm trying to providing 40. But if we observe for this particular node, previous we are having this. Currently, previous node we are having this particular 20. Now, the next node we are having this particular 30. Okay, so this is the object references we are having for this particular 40. So now if you observe carefully, what exactly we are doing here? We are creating a new node with the help of this particular 20 as a previous and 30 as a next year. 30 as a next year. So where we are creating the line number 162. Okay, but here if you see, the 40 we are having same previous. Okay, 40 we are having same previous and 30 also we are having same previous. For now, 30 node and 40 node. 20 is the previous node. For this particular two node, 20 is the previous node. Now what about this particular next one? What about this particular next one? Now here if you observe, now what you need to understand basically here, for 30, sorry, for 20, 30 is a next node, and the same thing for 40 also next is a, sorry, 30 is a next node. Getting the point? For 40 and 20, 30 is the next node, and 30 and 40. So here I'm going to write here. Now if you observe carefully, for 30 and 40, so 20 is the previous node. Okay, this 20 is the previous node. Now same thing, now if you observe 40 node and 20 node, so 30 is the next node. Okay, 30 is the next node. So this is very important. For these two nodes, 20 is the previous node. For this particular two node, this is the next node. This is what we discussed so far here. Now after this, now what are the next steps we are doing here? Now here if you see, after 162, what happens? Now you can see success dot previous. Success dot previous. What is the success? Now what is the success we are having? 30. Okay, 30 dot previous. 30 dot previous. Now what happening basically here? Now whatever the new node we created, so that is going to store as a previous year for this particular 30. Now if you see, as of now, for this particular 30, now previously we have this particular 20. Previously we have this particular 20. Now what happened here? So this particular arrow, now it is removed here. It is coming to this. It is coming to this here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand. Now if you see, here we are having, now for 30, previous node is 40 now. Okay, for 30, previous node is 40. Now another next step. Now if you see, so this is returning false. Now previous dot next. What is the previous basically? What is the previous basically? 20. So 20 we'll call it as a previous. Now previous dot next. Okay, earlier it is connected to this. Earlier 20 it is connected to this particular 30, but now this 20 now it is connecting to this particular 40 now. Okay, so this is very important here. Now carefully observe here. Now what you need to understand here, whenever we are trying to create here, 30 previous node is 40 and 20 next node is 40. 20 next node is 40. So this is the way the links, whatever the nodes we are having, the links are going to be changed here. Okay, now this link is not going to work. For 30 and 40, now 20 is not a previous here. Because, so 30 previous is 40 now. Okay, but 40 previous is this particular 30. Getting the point? So this is very important, we need to understand here. Okay, now currently, so what exactly the relation we are having? Now if we observe, after executing this, now what I am doing here, now I am going to see this particular previous. Now earlier, for this particular previous, we have 30 related node as a next, the 30 related node as a next value. But now if you see, now the next we are having 40. The next we are having 40. Now, whatever this particular previous, the previous is 10. So it is as it is. Okay, but only the change we have, in place of 30, now it is connecting to 40. Now, whatever this particular previous is, so success. Now if you see this particular success previous, now here you can see 40. Okay, earlier for this particular 30 previous, now directly I will give you the value so that we can easily understand here. Earlier, this is the 30 value we are having. For this particular 30, what is the previous value we have? 20. What is the next we are having? What is the next we had earlier? Something like 40 here. Okay. Now, for this particular 20, previous value 10 and the next value is 30. So this is only records. But currently, what happens here? For this particular 30, now previous record is 40. Okay. Next record also we are having 40 because value I did not change here. Now this is the 30. Now for this particular 20, previous is same 10, but next 40. If you see, earlier it was 30, but now it was 40. Okay. Earlier it was 20, but now is 40. So now what happening here? The nodes are changed. The references of this particular previous node and next node values are changed. In between, we come up with one additional node. So that is going to have this particular 40. And here we are having something like a 20. And here we are having 30. Okay. So 20, 40, 30. These are the nodes we created here. These are the nodes we created. So this is what we need to understand. Okay, so this is all about the important section about this particular nodes here. So whenever we are providing this particular index location, what exactly it is doing? First, it is trying to load the current, previous, and next node. And based on this particular section, first what is doing here? It is trying to create a new node, and it is changing the object reference of this particular previous and next here. If I'm trying to print this, now here you can see 40, 30, 40. Okay. So now here I will comment out this first. I will comment out this. Now I'm going to run this. Now whenever I'm trying to run this, now what is the value we are having currently? Now here I am going to print this particular value. So 10, 20, 30, 40. And here in place of this particular 40, now I will give as a 50 here. Now because of this particular second index location, now carefully observe what exactly it will do. Okay. Now currently this is 0 index location, 1 index location, second index location. In the second index location, what is the value we inserted? 50. Okay. Why it is inserted in the only in the second index location? Because here we given as a 2 here. Because of this particular 2, what happening here? In the second index location, it is trying to inserting the value. What is the value it is inserting? 50. Okay. So now if you compare these two, now if you compare these two, in the second, earlier it was 30. Okay. Earlier it was 30. But now we inserted one more record here in the second index location. So the 30, it is went to the third index location. The 40 now, it went to the fourth index location. So this is what we need to understand. Whenever we are giving this particular index related, if it is matching with the size, then it will come up with the last indexes. If it is not matching with the size here, it will load the current node which is available in the second index location. So using this particular current index location, we are going to create a one node. Now we are going to change the previous and next node information. Okay. So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular add method. This is very important here. Here, how it is changing it? Just it is changing the object to references here. Just it is changing the object to references here. Okay. New object is going to create and it is going to change the object values. So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular linked list here. Now, two methods we observe. First method is coming from the collection. Second method is coming from the list interface. Okay, now go to this particular collection.txt. What are the additional method we are having under this particular collection? Now, if you see this is empty. Now, what exactly this is empty we are doing here? Okay, is empty we are doing here. Linked list dot is empty. So I'm trying to call this particular is empty method. Now we'll see how this is empty is implemented internally. Okay, so I'm trying to went to this particular is empty method. Now if you see abstract collection, so this particular is empty, it is same for all the implementation classes, because the is empty is implemented under the abstract collection. So abstract collection is a abstract collection, basically it is a super for all the abstract classes here. The only it is applicable for this particular collection framework here. Abstract collection is a super class here. Now, what we need to check is size here. Now, where the size is implemented, now we are coming back to the linked list. Now, size is a variable. Currently, we are having 5 here. Okay. So, 0 to 4 is nothing but 5 records. This is what we need to understand. Now, what exactly we are doing is, now size equals to 0. But currently, size is not equals to 0. Size we are having some values here. Okay, so this is empty. Now, so once is empty is completed, linked list dot contains here. Now, how this contains method is implemented? Now, contains here, so we are not working with the string. Here we are trying to work with this particular integer. Now I'm giving as a 63 here. Now whenever I'm giving as a 63, now how this particular contains is going to be implemented here. Okay, contains here. Now value of method we are calling. Now after this I'm going for this particular contains. So internally contains method, what is calling it? Index of method. Okay, index of method. So this is important. If the index of it's trying to return as a greater than or equals to 0, so this will treat as a the given object is available. Otherwise, whatever the given object we are providing, it will not available here. Now carefully observe the index of what exactly it is doing here. It is trying to checking this particular greater than or equals. Now finally what you are understanding, index of method, basically it will try to return as a integer value. Integer value it will try to return here. So this is what we need to understand here. Okay, so now we'll discuss later about the index of here. Now again I'm trying to run here. We need to understand the contains of internally it is implemented with help of this particular index of. Now we need to discuss about the index of here. Now I'm calling this particular index of. Now what is the object we given? 63. Okay, so whenever we are giving this particular 63, how exactly this 63 is going to be implemented here? Okay, how exactly the 63 is going to be implemented? Now what you need to understand here, now here if the object is null, it will go to this particular block. Now otherwise it will come back to the else section. Now see, current example, it will come back to the else section, and here, so node we are loading. From the first node, we are trying to return this particular values here. So if you observe carefully, what we are doing here, first node we are passing into this particular x here, and x not equals to null, and x is equals to x dot next. So when we are going to get x dot next as a null, whenever we reach to the last node, for the last node we don't have a next node here. Okay, for this particular last node we'll have this particular next node as a null. So this, whenever we are reaching this particular next node is equals to null at the time of null, so this particular condition is going to be failure. Now in between, now what you need to understand here, what we are doing is we are calling this particular equals here. O dot equals dot x dot item here. Okay, so what we are checking here, with the help of this particular item we are checking the value. So whenever we are checking here internally, it is trying to return as an index here. because here we are increasing this particular index here. Initially, what is the value we are having index here? 0. Index is 0. Now here, using this particular for loop, now we are trying to check this particular index here. Now you can see, first condition is not satisfied. So second iteration, index is 1. Second condition is also not satisfied. Index is something like 2. Okay. Third condition we are checking. Third value also not satisfied. Fourth one. Now fourth one is also not satisfied. Now fifth one. Okay. So now you can see all the values are completed. It is coming out of this. Now it is coming out of this. Why it is not satisfied? Because 63 we did not provide it basically. If you see this, currently 10, 20, 50, 30, 40 we are having. But here, whatever the 63 we given, it is not available. Okay, it is not available. So because of this, now what happening basically, it is signed to written as a -1. Okay, whenever it is signed to written as a -1, what happens internally? Now, if you go to this particular contains method, now this entire section we are trying to return as a -1, -1 greater than or equals to 0. So this condition will satisfy 0 greater than or equal to 0, and 1 greater than or equal to 0, and 100 greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so it keep on increase the positive values. Now it start with a 0. So more than 0, either 0 or more than 0, whatever the value will get, so then it will try to return as a true. But currently -1 we are getting. So -1 greater than or equal to 0. So this will become false. This will become false here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand here. This is what we need to understand. Now finally, whatever the 63 we given, it is not available. So contains basically what is doing it is checking the given object is existed under this particular linked list or not. Okay, but whatever the 63 we given, it is not available. It is not available here. Okay, so this is it's trying to return this particular contains method. Now if you go to the in place of 63, if I'm trying to give as a 40 here. Okay, if I'm trying to give as a 40, so same example I'm trying to run one more time here. Now here you can see, going back to the contains method. Now again I'm calling index of method we are calling. Now finally we reach the same code. Okay, so first what is the first node we are having? 10 here. Okay, first node we are having 10 here. If you see here 10, because for the first node we don't have this particular previous node, only the next nodes we are going to have. So that is we already discussed in the previous sessions here. Now first node we are checking, not satisfied. Second value, not satisfied. Third value, okay, not satisfied. Now what about this particular fourth here? So what is the item we are getting here? X dot item. Now if you see this 30 we are getting, so this is also will not satisfy. Now this is the last statement. Now here you can see if condition itself is saying it is trying to match the condition. Okay, here it is trying to match. But what is the index we are loading here? Index as of now it's 4. Here you can see index is we are having 4 here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand here. Now 4 we are getting, we are returning the 4. Now the 4, it is a positive value, and it is a so greater than value of this particular 0. Okay, now because of this it will try to return as a true. It will try to return as a true. Now here I am going to print this. Okay, now without debug I'm running. Without debug I'm running. What is the value we are getting? True. Okay, so this is what we need to understand regarding this particular contains. Now internally we discuss about the linked list dot index of method. Okay, index of method. Now here what we can provide is, now just now we discuss about the index of. If I'm trying to give this index of here, what will return here? It will try to return as a -1 here. Index of method, it will try to return as a -1 because the 63 it is not available. Here you can see minus 1 we are getting. Now, so one more index of linked list dot index of. So we don't have a overloaded method. We are having only one method here. That is a index of method here. Now, one method, and what about this particular last index of? Now here I am trying to give 63. So it is a simple information. But okay, let's see. First we'll debug this one. First we'll debug this particular last index of here. Now how this particular last index of is implemented internally. Now what you need to understand, basically, to understand this particular last index of, first we need to debug this example so that we'll understand how this particular last index of internally implemented under this particular linked list here. Now coming back to your index of we identified, now we are going for the last index of here. Okay, last index of is also same, but only the difference here, here we are trying to use the last, but earlier here we are trying to use first. Okay, so node x is equals to first for the index of method, and for the last index of here, node x is equals to last. Node x is equals to last here, and here x not equals to null, and x is equals to x dot previous, but here x dot next here. So this is only the differences here. So this is, we need to understand very carefully here. Now here if you observe index minus minus, because here I'm trying to initializing the size. Okay, from the size now I'm trying to reducing one by one here. Now you can see, so 63 we given. So this 63 still it is not available here. Item, second object, third one, fourth one, and this is the last index. Now we are coming out of this minus 1 because 63 we given, it is no longer available here. Okay, it is no longer available here. So this is all about the important section here. Now another important section, basically, if I am going to give something like 50, okay, something like 50 here. Now same example I am going to run here. So last index of I am calling. Now here you can see, now it is satisfying here. Okay, this condition is satisfying. What is the index location so far? Index is 2. Okay, so 50 we given, like we stored in the second index location. Now the last index of also it is trying to return the same value. Getting the point? So this is what we need to understand here. Now here you can see last index of it is trying to return this particular 2 here. Now if I want to print this, now use this particular system.out.println here. It will print this particular index number 2. Okay, so this is what we need to understand. Index of we identified, contains we identified, and last index of we identified here. Now observe carefully, iterate also we identified here, 2 array. Now how this particular 2 array it is implemented? But in the array list, because we stored objects in the object array, so simply it is written. But currently in the linked list, we are not storing object under this particular array list here. So we are trying to store with help of this particular node concept here. Okay, now we'll observe how this particular 2 array it is implemented internally. Okay, now this particular section, linked list dot 2 array. Okay, linked list dot 2 array. So now how this particular 2 array it is implemented internally. This is the 2 array. Now here you can see what I am doing here. Now we are trying to creating a object array. Internally we are creating an object array. So whenever we are trying to creating an object array, what happens internally based on this particular size? What is the size? Size is 5. Okay. So based on this particular size here, now we are trying to creating an object array. After creating this particular object array, here we are having for loop here. So using from it starting with the first node, now it is ending with the last. But what we are doing, only we are loading items. Only we are loading this particular items here. Now after this, we'll try to adding into this particular object array here. Okay, we'll try to add into this particular object array here. So this is what we need to understand here. First record is inserted. If you go to here, first record 10 value it is inserted, 2 and the third, fourth. Now this is the last record. Now you can see 10, 20, 50, 30 and 40. So we are coming out of this. Now result. Now result basically it will try to return as a object array. Okay, it's a simple. Here only we are creating an object array and using this particular loop we are trying to inserting it. So this is the important section of this particular converting node values into this particular object array here. Okay, now after this what we can identify here, linked list. Now we'll go to the collection.txt. We discuss about this and here we can provide the type array. So integer array if you provide, now it will convert it into the integer array. Now if you provide character array, it will convert it into character array. Okay, so this is what we need to understand. Now here important section about the remove here. So far we observed the add method. Now we need to discuss about the remove method. Now here you can see remove method. Now remove method. So this is the remove method. It is not taking any parameter. Second method, object as a parameter. Third method, integer as a parameter. Now fourth method, if you see, remove first. Okay, remove first. Now last method also we are having remove last here. So these are the different type of method we are having. Okay, now we need to understand the first remove. Later we'll discuss about the one by one order remove methods here. Okay, now we'll see how this remove method is implemented internally. Now again I'm trying to debug this particular code so that we'll understand how this remove method is implemented. So this remove method, now it is not taking any parameters. Okay, I'm calling this remove method. Now internally what we are doing is by default we are calling this particular remove first method. Okay, so we'll see how this remove first is implemented. Now we are loading the first. Now we are loading the first record. So we already identified it. The first node is 10. First node is 10. Okay. Now if the first node is null, we'll throw this particular exception. But currently the first node is not null. So that directly we are going to the unlink first. Okay, unlink first. Now what exactly it will do unlink first here? We are not going to link this particular objects here. But currently how we are having the linking here? So first node, okay, second node and third node. Like this we are going to create a nodes here. So first it is connecting to second is connecting to third. So this is the linking we are having. But whenever I am trying to remove this, so this particular link no longer available. We'll see how this particular linking is going to be removed here. Now back to here. Here I'm calling this particular unlink method. Now here we are having unlink first here. F dot item. F dot item is nothing but 10 value. Now here you can see element is 10. Because this is the first record we observe here. So this is going to be written as a 10 here. Now after this F dot next here. F dot next. Now what is F dot next? So 20 related value. Now here you can see 20 related node we are loading here. Now this is the next node and this is the first node. So we observe here. After this F dot item is equals to null. Now if we observe carefully, here already we load this particular element value, but explicitly what I am doing F dot next is equals to null I'm making. Okay, so F dot item is null and F dot next is null. So what we need to understand here, now again I'm trying to creating the first node here. So for the first node, already previous is null. Okay, now 10 value. And here, the second node, it is not a null. So it is having one object reference. Object reference is nothing but it is linked with the next node. What is the next node basically? It is a next node here. Okay, something like a 20. The previous is connecting to this particular 10 node. Now next is connecting to this particular 20 here. But currently, what I am doing, the line number 179 and 180. So the 10th, like a first node, I am making as a null. So the 10 value it is going to replace with a null. And whatever the next reference we are having, the next reference also I am making null here. The next reference also I am making this particular null here. So whenever we are making null, now what happens here? This node no longer connecting to this particular node here. The relation now it is removed. Earlier it is connecting to this particular next node, but the next node now it is removed here. Okay, next node it is removed here. So this is what we need to understand here. This is what we need to understand here. Now after this, what happening here? So these two we discussed right now. First dot next. Carefully observe. First is a class level variable. Okay, this first is a class level variable we declared here. Now whenever we declare this particular first class level variable, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to call this particular next here. Like I'm initializing next section. The right side, because it is a single equal right side object, now it is going to store into the this particular left section here. Okay, what is the next we are having? Next it is a 20 related. So 20 we are having. 20 related we are having. Okay, so this is we need to understand here. Now earlier 10, whatever the 10 value we created, the 10 will treat as a first node here. But currently what we are doing here, 20 is the first node. So why we are calling 20 is the first node? Because the first node, the 10 related node, it is removed. 10 related node, it is removed here. Only the 20 related node we are having here. Only 20 related node we are having. Now if you see next dot previous. So currently next dot previous. Now if you see this, here we are having first node we are having previous here. What is the previous basically? All the values are null. Why all the values are null? Because here we did item is null and next is also null. Okay. Now here, if the previous node is null, so why need to make the references here? So we can make the null here so that the previous is null, so that we can treat as a the first record. The first node is 20 related node. The 10 node is now removed here. Okay, the 10 node is now. So if you see the second important section, size we are doing reducing. Size minus. Size minus. So this is what we need to understand. Whenever the node we remove the relation between with another node, so now we need to remove this particular node also here. The element is 10. Okay. Now finally 20, 50, 30, 40 we are getting. Finally the 20, 50, 30 and 40 we are getting here. The 10 is now removed here. 10 is now removed. So this is what we need to understand here regarding this particular remove method. So remove method internally, it is calling the remove first method. So we observe the two methods here. Now finally, linked list dot remove, I am going to provide object. Here I am trying to give as a 40. Here I am trying to give as a 40. Okay, let me comment out this. So explicitly I am providing the value. Okay, the parameter value I am providing. But this current method, like line number 18, whatever the commented method, it will try to remove one by one, like first record is removed here. Okay, so now the second one, remove method we are having, index we are having 40. Index we are having 40. Now if you see, this is the debug mode we are having. Okay, this is the debug mode we are having. Now I am trying to run index 40. Now if you see, it is playing as a index here. It is not playing as a object. If you see this, int index here. Int index we need to provide. But what we provided? value I provided. Okay, value I provided. So this will not work here. This will not work here. Now if you see this, go to this particular remove method, check element index here. Okay, check element index. Now if you go to this, now again we need to discuss about this. Now here size 40, sorry, index is 40, but size we are having 5. Okay, size we are having 5. So this condition is false because size value should be bigger compared to this particular index here. Compared to this particular index. But here index is bigger. Okay, so index is bigger. Now observe carefully, it is throwing an exception, index out of bound exception. Now here we are getting an exception. Now what you observe here, we need to give this index here. Index, what is the index we can give you? 4. Okay, index I'm trying to give as a 4. Now I'm trying to run the same example. This is the remove method. Again I'm checking here, check element index here. Now go to the is element index here. Now both are true. Whenever both are true, condition will become false. Any one of the condition will returning false, then this exception is going to throw, because here we are using not condition. Okay, here we are using not condition. Now here you can see unlink. Unlink method we are calling, but before calling unlink method, here we are calling this particular node also. Here we are calling node also. Now what you observe carefully, here, node method. Now using this particular index, we already observed the node method. What it will do, it will try to load the current to node here. Okay, based on this particular index here, it will try to load this particular node. Now observe, I am calling the node here. So index is 4 we given. Now it will come back to the L section. Now we are trying to load from the last here. What is the last? Something like a 40. Okay, now here you can see. Now here index we given as a 4. Okay, last index we loaded. Now here size -1. Size -1 it will become 4, and I greater than of this index. I value 4, index is 4. Condition, this loop is not repeating now. This loop is not repeating now. So why it is not repeating? Basically because here I value same and index value same. Because of this it is not repeating. But to x we are returning. What is the x? Last index. The last index we are having 40. Now if you see this, we are returning x here, and here we are calling the unlink. Now what you observe? So just now we discussed about the unlink. The 40 related previous and next, it will remove. Okay, it will remove this particular 40 and previous and next here. Now if you see x dot item value is 5, x dot next is something like null. X dot next is because 40 is a last index node. 40 is a last node. Because of this, now we are getting as a null. Now x dot previous. So x dot previous will get as a 30. Okay. Now if you see this x dot previous we need to see 30 we are getting. Now 30 is a last node now because the 40 related one we are removing. How we are removing it? So here previous, if it is null, we'll return this. Now previous dot next. What is the previous dot next here? This is the previous dot next we are returning because here next is a null. Okay, previous dot next is now null. Whenever the next is null, we'll treat as that is the last index. Okay, currently the whatever the previous we are having, next we are having. Now once I execute this, now what you observe carefully, previous dot next is null and x here. What is the x? X we are passing. Currently x dot previous and next both are null. Only we are having item. Only we are having this particular item. Next is null and previous is null. So here we made previous is null. If the next is null, the last one will make as a previous. Whatever the previous node we are having, that will treat as a last node. Okay. Here we are making x item is null. We are reducing the size and we are increasing the mod count and returning the element here. So whenever we are returning this element, what is we are returning? The entire node or value. Only value we are returning. Okay. So this is what we need to understand here. Now carefully observe here, this remove, it is not going to return anything or it is returning anything. Okay. Integer. Integer it is returning. What is the integer return? It is something like a item value. So whatever the item value we removed, so that is trying to return. Same thing, this remove method is also, it is trying to return as a integer value. Both are returning. But this one will return as a first value. But here we are providing explicitly index location. Based on the explicitly index location, whatever the value we remove, the value it is going to be removed here. Okay. Now carefully observe. I'm going to run two remove methods now. Okay. Here we need to give 3. Because the first object is now removing here. Now if you see, I'm not printing this. Let me print this. Okay, let me print this. Now here you can see 10 value. Because this particular remove, it is trying to remove the first index location. Now this remove method, it is trying to remove this particular 40 and it is the last index location. Currently how many values we are having? 20, 50 and 30. Okay, we inserted 5 records, but we removed the 2 records. Currently we are having only 3. So these are about the remove related here. Okay, so far any questions, whatever we discuss here, like is empty method, contains method, index of method, and 2 array we discuss here, and these 2 are the remove related methods here. So still any questions? Okay, if you don't have anything, so I'm stopping the session up to here. We'll discuss tomorrow. Because we discuss about the remove, we need to observe the contains method, add all, remove all, remove if. So these are the specific method we are having under this particular collection interface. So we'll continue this in the tomorrow session here.